Today, we seek treasure of a different type. We seek the grinder pump. So I'm out here at my parents', in front of my parents' place here, and over the past couple of days, we've been suspicious that the grinder pump has been not working properly. Whenever they take a shower, there's a lot of burbling, or if you, when the washing machine drains, the kitchen sink is gurgling a lot. So I came out here and checked, and the overflow pipe is definitely overflowing. So I've got to get down here to the grinder pump. We have to have a grinder pump where we live, if you're not familiar with that. Basically what a grinder pump is it's like a food processor, for lack of a better way of describing it. It's like a food processor under the ground where all the water waste and everything, the main drain for the house, comes into it. And it basically churns everything up, grinds it up, hence grinder, and then it pumps it out to the main sewage line. We have kind of an odd setup where we live. All the houses out here have to have grinder pumps, and we have a bigger grinder pump for the main house, but for this one we have this smaller one, and there's not enough slope to allow for us to have just done a regular drain here, so we had to do the grinder pump. So we have two grinder pumps on the house. We have no issues with the main one, but this is the second time in the last year we've had an issue with this one. Whenever you dig these up, you have to be really careful because there's cords down here. You can't see it, but you may have seen it already, but there's a cord sticking up right here, right where you're digging. So that's why you have to dig really gently. Hey, get out of here now. Oh, nice. Nice. Now we've reached the point where it's just, I've got no choice but to put my hands down in there, which is just really awesome. I do have some gloves though, somewhere. One of the things that happens with this deal is there's a float in here that when the water comes into the grinder, the float comes up, switch comes on, pumps the water out. But what's weird is we don't have this issue with our other grinder, but we do with this one. Grease builds up on it. And I mean, like, it looks like chunks of rock stuck to this. So that's what I'm gonna do. That's what I hope is what this is. I've got to break this off. And this is beyond disgusting. I'm not gonna show you what's in here. I might show you what this grease looks like when I take it out. But good stuff. Oh man, I needed longer gloves. Look out, dog. They find this irresistible. This is grease that builds up. Like, I gotta make sure they aren't diving in there. This is the grease that builds up inside there, and it just clumps up on the float, and it doesn't allow the float to float because this mess doesn't float, and it keeps the switch from coming on. Get out of there. And I made the mistake of leaving a piece of this to dry. Get out of here, you nasty dog. I made the mistake of leaving a piece of this out to dry last time I had to do this, and they just find it irresistible. Okay, get out of here, you nasty bugger. I'm going to show you what the inside of this looks like. There's nothing disgusting as in brown inside here. The water that's brown is from the mud that's gone in here. But I just want to show you how there's still this grease floating in here, just so if you have a grinder pump and you've never had an issue with it, and you have an issue where it stops working, you don't necessarily have to call out the plumber. You can do this yourself. But you know, I don't know what to tell you. I just got to show you what it looks like. All this is muddy water. This is not disgusting stuff, okay? I mean, it is disgusting, but I wouldn't show you that stuff. So you can see all that white down in there is grease. And I should have shown it to you, but I don't want to show you nasty stuff. You can see how it's caked back there. The entire inside of this thing was just coated in that. So I broke it all loose, and hopefully this will stay working for a long time now. There's like an iceberg floating right here of grease. So I'm gonna try to grab it real quick. Oh, check that bad boy out. Come on. Oh. Look at that. That's nasty. I mean, that's just grease, but it smells like more than grease. This is what's caked on the side of this thing. I'm gonna call that good. Funny story, the first time we had to dig this up, because I'd never had a grinder pump before, so I didn't realize, you know, what the issue was. But we had a problem with this when they first installed it, and an electrical problem, so I thought that might be the issue. So I called the plumbers out here, and the main plumber came out, the owner of the company, and then two of his guys. And one of his guys got down here and he was opening this thing up, and the owner said, here, he said, I got a brand new ratchet set. He said, you can use this. He said, but don't get the new tools dirty. So we joked about that while the guy was working on it. And last thing, the guy goes to close this thing up, and he drops the extension straight into the grinder. And I mean, it was like something out of a movie. It was hilarious, because we all just kind of stared at each other and didn't know what to say at first, and then everybody busted out laughing. But you know, sometimes plumbers are always expensive. But man, when you got to do a job like this, can you imagine doing this at somebody else's house? So luckily I had some gloves the guy could wear. I don't know if I mentioned this before, but our other grinder pump actually has an alarm on it. So if it stops working, the alarm goes off outside, and it's really loud. Our neighbors have one, and I've heard it go off before. Sounds something like a car alarm, I guess, going off. But if you have a grinder pump and you have issues, you start backing up inside, or your overflow pipe starts pouring out, open it up and see if it's grease, and save yourself a visit from a plumber, and save your plumber from having to stick his arm in that disgusting hole. Hope this helps. I am going to dispose of the grease. I'm going to go burn my shirt, and I may burn my arm. I'll see you next time.